Hey Giovanni, it's Lauren. I wanted to send over another story for this week. So this one's called Jessie's Hill by Anne Harth. Jessie pushed his bike into the driveway. "Can I come to the zoo, Dennis? Can you ride to the top of the hill?" his brother asked. His friends were ready to go. So it looks like that must be Jessie, and that's his brother and his friends. Jessie looked up at the steep hill. "I think I can," he said. "Let's go." Dennis and his friends rode away. Jessie jumped onto his bike. He pedaled. That's this word. It's kind of a tricky word to guess if it's your first time. So he pedaled, like he, used the pedals on the bike as hard as he could. He passed Mrs. Johnson's house. His legs were shaky. He passed Peter Potter's house. It was hard to breathe. He was hot. He stopped in front of the yellow house. "Jessie," Dennis called from the top of the hill. Jessie looked up. "When you can ride to the top, you can come." Jessie stamped his foot. His brother disappeared over the hill. The next day, Jessie tried again. He jumped on his bike. He pedaled as hard as he could. He passed Mrs. Jennings' house. He passed Peter Potter's house. His legs were shaky. It was hard to breathe. He was hot, but he passed the yellow house too. So if you see, he passed the yellow house, but last time, that's where he stopped. So he's making progress. Jessie tried to ride up the hill every day. His legs were shaky and it was hard to breathe, but every day he rode a little farther. It was Saturday morning. Jessie pushed his bike into the driveway. Dennis and his friends were leaving. "Where are you going?" Jessie said. Dennis stopped. "We're going to the zoo." "Can I come?" "Can you ride to the top of the hill?" "Watch me." Jessie jumped on his bike. He pedaled as hard as he could. He rode past Mrs. Jennings' house. He rode past Peter Potter's house. He rode past the yellow house. His legs weren't shaky. He pedaled harder. "Go, Jessie! You can do it!" Dennis and his friends cheered. He pedaled harder. He passed 3 more houses. He was almost to the top of the hill. His legs were shaky. It was hard to breathe. Jessie was hot, but he didn't stop. His bike slowed down. It wobbled but kept moving. Jessie stood on his pedals and pushed. He reached the top. He looked down at Dennis and his friends. They were puffing and panting. They rode up the hill. Dennis patted Jessie on the back. "Do you want to come to the zoo?" he said. Jessie grinned. So I hope you liked that story. And here's a couple questions about it. So the first one is, the story's main idea is that Jessie practiced until he could get up the hill. The lesson is, so think about that. Think about what you think the lesson of this story is. So I think the lesson is that if you practice at something and you work hard at something, you keep getting better and better at it until you can do it. So it's about, getting experience in something that may be new to you, and also not giving up. Because, Jesse tried it the first time and he couldn't do it. So he could have given up and said, I'll never be able to get my bike up that hill because I couldn't do it today. But he chose not to give up. He chose to keep trying and to, get better and better until he could do it. So the next question is, what do you think makes Dennis a good big brother? So I think that Dennis is a good brother because, when Jesse asked, "Can I come?" It's not like he didn't say, "No, you can't come with me and my friends." He just said, "Can you get up the hill? If so, then you can come." So he's a good big brother because, he's trying to include Jesse. And I think he's also trying to push Jesse to learn new things and to grow. He probably could have guessed that Jesse might not have been able to get up the hill the first time, because back when Dennis tried to do it the first time, he probably had the same, issues at first. So he's probably knew Jesse wouldn't be able to do it the first time, but he knew Jesse wanted to come. So, he kind of was forcing him to try this new thing and to get better at it until he could finally do it. And then, at the end of the story, I think another example of Dennis being a good big brother is that, when Jesse was pedaling really hard and, almost there, him and his friends were cheering Jesse on, because they wanted him to succeed. So I think that makes him a good big brother too. And then when Jesse made it to the top of the hill, Dennis kept his word and he said, "Let's go to the zoo." So the last question is, how did Jesse finally get up the hill? So that's kind of what we talked about in the first question. He practiced, right? He practiced every day. I think for a whole week. And he did it little by little. So, the first time he rode past two houses, and then stopped at the yellow house. And then the next time he rode past the yellow house, but then stopped. The next time he went a little further. And the last time, at first it was easy. He wasn't out of breath, but then, he started to, a few houses down, start to get more out of breath, but he just kept pushing. He stood up on his pedals to get more power. So that's how he got up the hill. Well, it was great reading to you as always, and I hope that you are having a good day today, and I look forward to talking to you next week. All right, bye, Jovanni.